Hello everyone and welcome to Ghost Turd Stories. I'm your host Troy Gent. Ghost Turd Stories' mission is using humorous stories from veterans and first responders to reduce the burden of families whose veteran or first responder committed suicide. Ghost Turd Stories' vision is to use humor from veteran and first responder stories to prevent suicide within our ranks and reduce the burden of families whose veteran or first responder committed suicide. We hoped to attract veterans and first responders, as well as those interested in knowing more about what it's like to be in our shoes while we wear or wore those shoes. Hello everyone, this is Troy Gent, your host and creator of Ghost Turd Stories. Today I've got a very special guest. He's a good friend of mine. He's a prior service Marine and is now a firefighter. Welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. So what's the dumbest thing you ever did while serving?
Let me think. I've done a lot of dumb stuff, but one of the things that comes to mind, I'll paint the picture for you. So we were in Thailand, and I'm sure you remember the Cobra Gold exercises that we used to do with the Royal Thai Marines. These exercises that we do are kind of a you show me yours, I'll show you mine type deal, where we're showing them our state-of-the-art weaponry, such as sniper rifles, night vision goggles, our comm gear, things like that. And then they're showing us how to survive in the jungle. They'd catch cobras in the middle of the jungle and chop their heads off and eat them and squeeze the blood into the Thai whiskey.
Yeah, I remember that.
We were out there doing a bunch of training, and I'm sure you also remember Cinderella Liberty.
You got to be back at midnight.
Midnight hits for a pumpkin. Yep, absolutely. You got to be back at midnight. We've been doing a bunch of training, and the guys are broke off. They want to go party. For those of you who have never been to Thailand, the U.S. dollar goes a long way in Thailand. So for a young Marine who's not getting paid much, you can go big, you can party, you can be treated like a king out there for not much. So it's kind of a cool spot to go. So we had this elaborate plan to bypass the Cinderella Liberty. About 10 o'clock, kind of things are winding down. Guys are ready to rack out. Had a bunch of the guys come with me, and we set up our cots and made them look like there's people sleeping in them. So we got our ponchos over our packs with like boots hanging out of the end with like a helmet. So it looks like there's somebody sleeping in the rack.
What was your position at the time?
So I was a scout sniper and a sergeant. So I had a sniper section with me, and that consists of the snipers and the scouts. So we have the hogs and the pigs. The hogs are the hunters of gunmen. The pigs are like the guys that are kind of in training. They haven't gone through sniper school yet. So they're professionally instructed gunmen. We go hop on those little tuk-tuks. You remember those little cab motorcycle deals? Yeah. And we go out and we go party. They got like those kickboxing rings. You remember that?
They told us we couldn't get in there because they were afraid someone was going to get a broken neck or something.
Yeah. They got guys doing kickboxing, and there's bars all around it. I remember just playing like Connect Four. That was like their game out there. All the girls at the bars were really good at Connect Four, and if you beat them, they'd buy you a drink. And if they beat you, which 9 times out of 10 they did, you'd buy them a drink and be like the most expensive drink. I was hanging out at the bar with the girl, and she starts laughing, and I'm like, "What's going on? What you laughing at?" And she's like, "Your buddy over there, he's making out with a dude." There's a lot of transvestites out there too.
I got a couple of stories about that.
They left together too, so he probably found out the hard way. No pun intended, but he found out the hard way that he was packing some heat as well. So Red Bull vodka was kind of the newest thing that came out at that point, and you could buy a Red Bull out there for like 10 cents and a fifth of vodka for $1 or something like that. So we're going hard, we're partying, and it's like 4 a.m. now. And we're like, dude, we got to get back on base. We're hammered.
When you guys are sober, you got a young pig wants to be a hog. How does the interaction go between subordinate and senior when you're all drunk like that?
You're rankless. If you're a sergeant as a pig, you may be with a corporal who's a hog, and like the corporal in this sense would almost outrank you. You might have a junior guy that's your mentor, your boss. We now have to school these pigs up on how to infiltrate a base on foreign soil, gas canned at 4 in the morning. And given the Royal Thai Marines, the guys that are guarding the base, they got shotguns with banana clips. Like, they're ready to go. It's no joke. You can't just go rolling up there, and you're either going to get caught violating Cinderella Liberty and walk on the base like you're supposed to, or you can be complete knuckleheads like us and try to break in. We're stalking through the bushes and climbing through barbed wire and doing all this stuff, trying to get in this base and going through the brush. We end up getting inside the base, and now we're having the pigs like, all right, I'm kind of hungry. I want you to go over to that supply area and go steal some MREs. We're just trying to hightail it through this base without being seen, treating it like a stalking exercise for all of us, basically. But we're teaching these guys at the same time, like, all right, there's a guard over there. We got to get through here. So, like, how do we use, like, the terrain, the micro terrain, and the brush to the best of our ability? We had pre-staged our PT gear so we could just change out of our civvies, get into our PT gear, and kind of, like, just walk in the squad bay like nothing happened. Oh, we just woke up. We're getting ready for PT, 0500, whatever. So we make it in, and we're like, man, like, we got this,
It's funny in the Marines, like, that's not uncommon. People drink all night and then they come and they just run 3 miles or more and then do a full PT session,
Yeah, I mean, when you're 20 years old, you can do that. I couldn't do that now, but now it's like 5 a.m., right? So we roll out to PT, and I'm like, all right, I think we got it. I think we're good. Platoon sergeant comes out. He's a staff NCO. He's a little older than the rest of us. The rest of us are like 4 years or less, and he's probably got about a decade on at this point. So he's not really hanging with us. He's a little old school, a little bit, very stoic, I guess. And he comes out, and he's like, hey, Lieutenant needs to talk to you. And I'm just like, oh, man, like, we're busted. We're screwed. And I tell the guys, I'm like, hey, this is my idea. I'll take the hit for us. Tell him I made you do it and this and that. I go into his office, and he's like, he's seated at his desk. He's got, like, his head in his hands, like, kind of like he's got a headache, not looking too happy. And he's like, hey, you're probably wondering why I called you in here. And I'm like, I already know. I'm done. And he starts telling me his story of his night, right? I violated the Cinderella Liberty. I, like, literally just got here right now. I'm super wasted, and I think the police are looking for me. And I'm like, what? I'm like, whoa, this, like, totally took a turn.
Why do you think he confided in you versus the platoon sergeant?
So the platoon sergeant had to go to some meeting. He's looking at me, and I'm like, what? What's happening right now? So I just sit there, and I'm quiet. I'm just listening, right? I'm not about to spill the beans on what I just did. But he's, like, telling me, like, I was out partying. I stole a guy's scooter. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I got chased by the cops. I ditched the scooter, ran up like a flight of stairs. They chased me. And then I ran back down and hopped back on the scooter and, like, literally just drove into the base. And I'm like, you what? I'm like, man, what the? Sir, that's unbecoming of a Marine. You should be ashamed of yourself. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't say that. I'm like, hey, sir, I got you. Your secret's safe with me. I won't say nothing. And he's like, hey, I need you to take the platoon. Platoon sergeant's got a meeting. So he's like, you run the day. You got him. Start with PT. Do whatever you want. Here's kind of the schedule, what I want done. But I got to get out of here. And I'm like, hey, sir, you can count on me. Like, I'm a responsible fella. He's like, yeah, I know. I know you're a good guy. You got it, man. That's why you got promoted and all this stuff. Thinking in my head, like, I'm such a dirtbag.
That's hilarious.
But so I come back out, and of course I got to mess with the guys, right? They don't know this. Like, nobody else knows this. So I take them, and I'm like, man, we're screwed, fellas. Freaking right face. Let's start running. I ran them up the hill, and we kind of just go off into the jungle. And then I just tell them, like, hey, I got it handled. Don't worry about it. We're going to go up here and take a nap. So we just went in the jungle, got some hammocks, just knocked out for a few hours. But they didn't even know what happened. I just told them I handled it. And they're probably like, man, you're like Teflon. Like, I don't know how you got away with that one. Looking back on it, that stuff's all fun. But I was sweating it for a bit there.
Was there ever a time when a leader was being an idiot and the troops got the last laugh?
Yeah. So, different lieutenant. This dude was not a sniper, and we were doing some of the hardest training I've ever done. But in Bridgeport, you remember doing those those summer packages and winter packages out there?
I did one. I did a summer as enlisted and then winter as an officer.
We did both of them. Like we had like the summer was more repellent stuff. And then the winter you'd go out there and you do the snowshoeing around, cross-country skiing. And we had a sniper package out there that we did that was brutal. There was a guy out there, they called him the GOAT. And this guy, he'd throw on 100-pound pack and just run straight up hills. He was like a billy goat. Our lieutenant, who was not a sniper, he's up at the front yelling at us like, come on, guys, hurry up. And we're struggling. We're hoofing it up this hill or this mountain. And the lieutenant's, he's up there with the GOAT guy, and he's yelling at us to hurry up. And we're just like, dude, there is no way that he's in better shape than us. There's no way. We're all been through sniper school. We're pretty athletic guys at this point in time. You know, we're first class PFT and all that. And when we get to the top of the hill, I lift his pack up, and it's like 3 pounds. And I opened it, and he had a pillow in it. We got Prig 119 radios. We got, water, food, sniper rifles, bunch of ammo, all this stuff. So we're weighted down. We got like 100 pounds worth of gear, and this guy's got a freaking pillow. At the time, there was no digital cameras or any of that. So I had my little cardboard disposable camera, holding his pack up with my pinky. It's open with a pillow, and we take a picture of it, put it all back to normal, didn't say anything. We finished the rest of the month or whatever that you're up there training. And then I get the picture printed. I don't know if you remember that movie, but I wrote on the picture, I know what you did last summer. Remember that movie? I put it on his desk, and I never said anything. But I know he got that picture and was like, oh.
Yeah. How much longer was he the platoon sergeant?
Well, he got promoted to captain and left. But yeah, we got the last laugh on that one.
When I got to the fleet as a platoon commander, I ran into a couple of my captains from infantry officers course. They were on 29 Palms base doing some training with the next class. And they asked me who my company commander was. When I told them, they were like, oh no. They were so unhappy for me. And I was like, oh, it's all right. It's all right. And they're like, oh, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, it's leaders like that will break a good platoon, You're supposed to be inspiring guys, and instead you're cheating and yelling at them. We're giving 100%, and he's out there yelling at us. He's cheating.
I've been using Isagenix since 2017. These products have made a world of difference in my quality of life, health, energy, muscle definition, strength, and endurance. My bread and butter products have been the Daily Essentials multivitamins with Isagenesis, which is a telomere support supplement, the Isoline meal replacement shake, the Tri-Release protein shake, the collagen, the green drink, and the Cleanse for Life support system. However, Isagenix has many products and can cater to your unique lifestyle and goals. Click the link in the show notes or visit nmp.isagenix.com. Besides just using the products, there is an option to partner with me and the company to build your own business with no capital up front. You can do as little as pay for your products and as much as making a full-time income. I love these products and will use them the rest of my life. For more information, you can email me at ghostturdstories@gmail.com.
We're in Okinawa, and we're doing that JWTC, Jungle Warfare Training Center. My wisdom teeth were growing out sideways or something, and I had to get them extracted.
I told my daughters about that. You look like a chipmunk.
Yeah. I love Navy doctors and all that, but good Lord, like, they didn't knock me out or nothing. I remember they're like, yeah, bring some music. It's going to be a long day, because I had to get all 4 pulled out. I had my Discman. Well, the Discman, you got 1 CD, that's it. So I had Rage Against the Machine. That was my choice of music to bring while I get my whole mouth hacked to pieces. So it was not fun. They basically made some X's on my gums with his knife, took a chisel and a hammer, broke my teeth off in my mouth, and then plucked them out with a set of pliers and put them all on my chest.
That's what they did to me, too. I only got 2 out, but it was the same thing.
Yeah, I did all 4 at once. There was like blood and a bunch of like pulpy bone fragments all over my chest, and I'm sitting here listening to Rage Against the Machine, and like, what the heck is going on? Like, this is the best pair we got out here, In the rack, they gave me some Percocet for my mouth and Motrin or something to stop the swelling. Well, none of that worked. I mean, you remember how I looked. My whole face was
black and
up.
blue, everything. It was bad.
I thought I was going to get at least a few days off, but it is the Marine Corps. So they're like, nope, get out there. You're going on a field op, and you're going to go hump through the jungle and sleep in freaking mosquito-infested tent in the middle of nowhere. I'm trying to pack my stuff up. I'm high off Percocet. I don't know what's going on. I think we're doing like a 1 week op. And guess who forgot to pack extra underwear? Me. I was so doped up on all the painkillers that I just wasn't packing right, whatever. So we get out there, and I'm like, crap, man, I only got one pair of chones this whole week. I got like that dry socket thing. I'm humping through the forest or through the jungle with this pack on and all this stuff, spitting blood out. I'm doing the thing where you take your underwear and it starts to get a little nasty and you turn it around and then you flip it inside out and wear it a day. And then you turn it around again and wear it for another day. The only thing out there, like when you got to go drop a deuce in the middle of the jungle and you're like, man, I didn't even pack any toilet paper either. So you got those little MRE napkins. You remember that? A little square. And so I had been eating freaking, whatever food they had out there.
It was never enough for MRE craps, dude.
One of the last days, I got like mud burn. I'm hurt. So I got this little square, and I blow through that, and like one wipe, it's saturated. It's like destroyed. And I'm like, bro, what am I gonna do? So I keep on keeping on, and you can just feel that nasty 5-day-old chone that's been flipped inside out and flipped backwards and all that. And by this time, this thing is just like, it's like Velcro in my crack, dude. It's terrible. It's like dried up, like paper mache. I mean, you could probably throw it at the wall and it would have cracked. The last day, I'm like just done with these things. So I take the front of my drawers and I lift them up. I'm still wearing my camis. And I don't want to drop trowel because you got your boots on and all that stuff. I'm like, I got to get rid of these things. I lift the front of it up. So like the little holes are showing, and I take my knife, cut one leg hole, cut the other leg hole, and then just rip the whole thing straight up in the air. And it's just like Velcro. It's just like that. And it's just like the nastiest tie-dyed mess you've ever seen, man. It was freaking foul.
Oh, man.
I told my son that story, right? And the other day, we were at some hotel somewhere. We were gone for a few days on a vacation. And he's running around, and he's got a skid mark on the outside of his underwear. I'm like, boy, what you doing, man? What's up with your underwear? And he's like, I only packed one undie, Daddy, and I just did like you did in your story. So he flipped it around, and he had like a little turd stain on the outside of his underwear. And I'm like, oh.
He's running around in inside-out undies.
Inside-out undies with a little skid mark on the outside. He's like, yeah, I did just like you did, Daddy.
Oh, man. You're like, what did I do? Why did I tell him that?
Created a monster.
In boot camp, I got sick of doing the laundry. They'd make us pack all of our camis and underwear, skivvy drawers, I guess, to be proper, and socks and stuff. They would pack as many of those bags inside a washing machine as possible. They would dry them the same way, which clothes aren't going to dry like that. So you get your clothes back and they're all wet and they're not clean because they can't possibly wash good like that. So
yeah, the ones in the middle don't get clean at all. They're just kind of added together.
Yeah, so I got tired of doing it like that, and I thought, I'm just going to wear the same underwear for 2 weeks. Well, I don't think I had like a 2-week plan. I think I just said I'm going to wear them. I only lasted 2 weeks. Fellow recruits are like, dude, you got to change your underwear, man. You stink so bad. So is there a situation in your firefighting career where the person had contraband?
I mean, there's guys hiding stuff in what you would call the old prison wallet.
Well, yeah, what's a prison wallet?
That's basically keystering it, hiding in your
yeah.
Yeah. And they're, like, oh, I slipped in the shower and, landed on this bottle of shampoo and now it's stuck. And you're like, oh, okay. Whatever. I don't need to believe your story. We all know what happened. Like, all right, get in the ambulance. It's good. We had a guy, he had a shirt through a lock, and apparently that's a felony. I actually just learned this, but they use it almost like a ball and chain. Like, you remember like blanket parties where you'd throw a bar of soap in a sock, and it's like a little ball and chain. So this guy basically had the same thing. He had a shirt through like a pretty burly padlock. Apparently, that's considered a concealed weapon.
What was the most painful experience in training or on the job that everyone laughed about later?
Oh, man. I'd probably say SEER school. SEER is Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. It was basically POW training. I went through about 2 decades, maybe even a little longer than that ago, and they still did waterboarding at that point. I guess they stopped doing that now. A buddy of mine ran the SEER school for number of years. I met him way after I got out, but he told me, he's like, yeah, we stopped doing waterboarding a while back. I remember getting waterboarded. That was not fun. I was like, here's my plan. I'm going to hold my breath and pretend like I'm dead. And then they'll stop because they'll think I'm dead. And I'm not the best swimmer. I can't hold my breath very long. So I probably lasted about 10, 20 seconds on that thing. And I'm like, all right, now I'm going to fake like I'm dead. And I stopped moving, and they just kept going, man. They just kept pouring that stuff. I'm like, oh, I really can't breathe now. So I start flipping out, and I'm shaking on there. I actually passed out on it.
Oh, man, yeah.
Woke up, and like, for those of you who've never seen a waterboard, it's like the one that they had me on was almost like a decline sit-up bench that you're taped down on. So you can't move anything. You can't move your head. You can't move your arms, your legs, nothing. And they put this towel over your face that's wet. And you can barely even breathe through the towel. But once they start dumping the water on the towel, because it's covering your nose and your mouth, it just goes right up your nose and right in your mouth. You try to take a breath, and you're just inhaling water. It's brutal. It sucked. I start throwing up all this water, and I'm just like, what the hell's going on? Like, dude, this school is crazy. I'm in there with a buddy of mine from the same platoon. He's a sniper as well. He's a big dude, man. He's like your size. And they have another little technique that they do to try to break you, where they throw you in this box. Box made out of wood. They shut the box and they lock it. I'm a smaller dude, so it wasn't the worst thing for me. But my buddy in there, I mean, he's a big cat. He's freaking out because he can't move anything. His head's like smashed between his legs or whatever. I'm like stretching, taking a nap. I'm like, oh, that's kind of nice. But I can hear the wood creaking. He's like, oh, he's like trying to. I'm like, bro, go to your happy place, man. Just chill. Just try to relax. You got to be calm. I got a couple little quick stories I'll just tell. It's just kind of good for a laugh. We were in boot camp, right? And right before you went to sleep, you had to do those little hygiene inspections, and you're sitting there in your whitey-tighties. They check your nails and your feet and make sure that you don't have, some gnarly fungus or, black and blue spots all over the place or something like that. So we had this one cat in the platoon in boot camp. He was a bit of a food blister, overweight, redhead, freckled kid. The drill instructor goes up to him, and it's his turn. And he's like, snap, blah, blah, blah. This recruit has no hygiene problems, whatever. And just rips the gnarliest fart, dude. Just blows it up. And this thing's rank, dude. It is foul. And the drill instructor, he's completely straight-faced. He's like, everybody come here and vacuum this up. And we're like, what?
Yeah.
I vacuum it up.
Dude.
And he's like, inhale that fart and blow it out the window. That was the vacuum, dude. So all of us are running over, and it's just like, this is the nastiest swamp-ass fart I've ever smelled. And we got to run over to this pungent cloud of just anus and inhale it and go run over to the window and blow it out. And the guy, the drill instructor had us in a single file line running in circles, inhaling a fart and blowing it out the window. That's how we vacuumed it up.
Dude, that's funny, but the funniest part is that the drill instructor can just hold a straight face through that.
Yeah, those guys are cut from a different cloth. I always respect those guys, but like, man, that to have that much bearing to straight face, be like, vacuum it up. Man, just inhale this swamp ass. Oh, dude, it was disgusting. Guys are gagging, just like trying to not throw up. They're running and trying to blow it out the window.
Dude, the boot camp parts are awful, man. They're the worst.
We were doing some training out in Yuma or somewhere. I don't know. We were doing some like sniper thing. It was a little bit lax because we're just on our own, like as a sniper unit. So we're having a campfire right in the middle of the desert. And one of the guys, we started jamming him up a little bit, throwing some blows his way and beating him down a little bit. And he gets pissed, right? And he grabs a freaking 200-round bandolier of saw ammo. They're blanks, but he hucks it in the fire. And we didn't know what it was. He just hucks this thing in the fire and then bolts. And then it's just like, go, 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 like 200 rounds going off. And we're like, oh my gosh, everybody hits the deck. Stuff's blowing up everywhere. Our platoon sergeant, that same guy that I was telling you about, kind of stoic guy, he gets smacked in the head with something. A week or so goes by, and it's starting to get infected. So now he's got this like giant unicorn zit looking thing on his forehead, right? He's pissed off at this dude. He's like, man, what were you thinking? This guy, surprisingly, again, didn't get written up or nothing, but he got pulled outside behind the shed and thrashed a bunch. But so like a week goes by, and the platoon sergeant's trying to get the pus out. He's in front of his mirror, squeezing this giant freaking unicorn mountain of a zit he's got on his forehead. And guess what pops out of it? A freaking primer. A primer for the round popped right out of his forehead. The primer had shot right in his forehead and stuck it. I remember guys doing dumb stuff like that, cooking coffee with C4. C4, you can light it on fire. Just don't step on it. Just don't step on it.
Well, thanks so much for sharing and being here with me. Thanks for making me laugh.
Yeah, I think what you're doing is good, man. I like that we can put something out. A lot of vets are hurting. You and I just both lost a good friend. I think it's good for guys to be able to hear stories like this and kind of look back on their time in the service and remember some of the good stuff. There's a lot of bad stuff. There's a lot of guys that are dealing with some crazy stuff with PTSD and whatnot. And I think this is something positive that we can share with the rest of our brothers and sisters out there, and hopefully give them a laugh. And maybe, if they're feeling like crap, they can hear some of these stories and remember some of the good times that they had. I really appreciate what you're doing, man. I think it's great.
I appreciate that. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Thank you for listening. Please tell your friends and family so that we can bring more joy and awareness to those struggling with suicide ideation and the families who desperately need help after the loss of someone they love to suicide.